What exactly is making the African continent so attractive to Blaxiters and African repatriates that are deciding to leave the Western world? Is it that the African continent offers real opportunities for a better sense of community and a life with less racial discrimination? Or is it due to the success of African tourism initiatives such as the Year of the Return initiative, which is heavily promoted by the government of Ghana? Or is it that the world's next biggest growth market offers significant opportunities to build wealth for African diaspora and the African repatriates? Well, in our previous AfriKili video, part 1 of our 3-part series on Blaxit, we looked at the push factors behind the Blaxit movement. We analyzed the factors that are pushing people of African descent to leave the diaspora and immigrate physically or spiritually to Africa. In today's video, we will pivot from the push factors in the Western world to focus on the pull factors that are making the African continent an attractive destination for Blaxiters and repatriates. There you have it. Let's dive in and let's get to work. Hello family, welcome to AfriKili, where we advocate for the creation of a federal United States of Africa by focusing on 3 pillars: Pan-African history, Pan-African business, and Pan-African political action. As a reminder, the word AfriKili is a contraction of the words Africa and Akili, which means intelligence in Swahili, the most spoken African language in Africa. So AfriKili stands for African Intelligence. You can also read our blog online or sign up to have new publications delivered directly to your mailbox by entering your email address on our website, which is www.afrikili.com. And of course, if you like our video content, please make sure to click on the like button and subscribe to this channel. In last week's video, we looked at the push factors behind the Blaxit movement. And in today's video, we will pivot to focus on the pull factors that are making the African continent an attractive destination for Blaxiters and repatriates. We will specifically explore the following 3 attractive factors: the sense of community in Africa, the Year of Return initiative, and business opportunities in Africa. Let's start looking at the first attractive factor. Does the African continent offer real opportunities for a better sense of community and a life with less racial discrimination? Well, depending on how the concept of community is defined, there are relevant physical and spiritual components to consider when it comes to feeling a better sense of community. Physically, if a community is to be defined as a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common, then Blaxiters will undoubtedly feel a strong sense of community in an African continent where Black people are the majority. And the same rationale is applicable to living a life without racial discrimination. Given the very nature of sub-Saharan African population, the racial discrimination problem is de facto eliminated for Blaxiters. Now, spiritually, things can be a little more complicated, because if a community is to be defined as a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals, well, it follows that it would be almost impossible to establish fellowships without first establishing relationships. Given that continental Africans and Blaxiters have evolved in significantly different environments, it would be wise to expect a significant period of acclimatization when they first come in contact before being able to establish a genuine sense of fellowship. So it is only by willing to learn from each other and willing to establish relationships that common attitudes towards common interests and common goals can be established. Now, without this prerequisite, there is a real risk that Blaxiters and continental Africans could develop a sense of resentment towards each other despite having the best intentions. Because on one hand, continental Africans might see the Blaxiters as nothing more than an incoming source of revenue, bringing in currencies from the West. And on the other hand, Blaxiters might develop a savior's complex, feeling that they have superior knowledge and resources, which puts them in a position to fix African societies. That being said, societies on the African continent have developed a reputation of being culturally welcoming, and they tend to encourage family ties beyond nuclear family units. And similarly, there's a shared experience of struggle by people of African descent in the diaspora that has also created a culture that extends kinship beyond one's family nuclear units. Now, this culture was clearly expressed by the United States Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee in an episode of the podcast called ICU, which was discussing the trend of people of African descent moving from the United States of America to Ghana. During the conversation, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson stated that, and I will paraphrase her here, she said things like, "It is in our DNA. We had to make families, and we did. We learned to embrace people as our family, our kin. You find that extensively in our communities. Our neighbors will become our aunties, our uncles." And the Congresswoman continued and concluded by saying, "Let's find a way to keep this wonderful connectedness to the generations to come." So it would therefore appear that continental Africans and Blaxiters are well suited to embrace each other and create new common realities. Once they have established a desire to build genuine relationships, their unions will lead to a renewed brotherhood and sisterhood. For Blaxiters, it is clear that an opportunity with less racial discrimination and a better sense of community makes Africa a very attractive continent. Ultimately, with the right approach, Blaxiters and continental Africans can reestablish genuine kinship and flourish together and create new successful realities on the African continent. Let's now look at the second attractive factor. Is the Year of Return initiative beneficial for the African diaspora? Well, if we look at it strictly as an African tourism initiative, then the Year of Return, which was organized by the government of Ghana, was a very successful initiative. As a matter of fact, this sentiment was expressed by Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo, who declared that the Year of Return was a great success in 2019 and continues to be a success. Now, back in 2019, the initial objectives were to incentivize people of African descent around the world to travel to the continent and reclaim their roots using Ghana as the anchor. Now, the main organizing entity, which was the Ghana Tourism Authority, defined this Year of Return initiative as a major spiritual landmark and a birthright journey, inviting the global African family, home and abroad, to mark 400 years of the arrival of the first enslaved Africans in Jamestown, Virginia. Looking beyond that initial invitation to travel to Ghana back in 2019, the ultimate objectives are to establish long-term relationships with the diaspora on the African continent. And as the Ghanaian Tourism Authority stated, they wanted brothers and sisters to want to come back, get involved, and see the opportunities that exist in Ghana to work together and begin to build what has been stolen and lost over the past 400 years. So overall, the Year of the Return was an important spark and continued to be very beneficial for Blaxiters and the African diaspora around the world. The initiative created a welcoming environment to help eradicate all preconceived apprehensions and make it easier for the returning diaspora to settle on the continent or join continental Africans in pursuing common objectives. As implied by the popular Sankofa concept from the Akan tribe in Ghana, you have to know where you are coming from to know where you are going. Consequently, connecting with the continent of their ancestors has an important spiritual value in that it helps eliminate both the past and the future. And so from the viewpoint of the AfriKili platform that advocates for unity across the Pan-African world, the true benefit of the Year of Return is its ability to initiate genuine connections between African and Pan-African diaspora. By joining hands, continental Africans, Blaxiters, and the Pan-African diaspora can be instrumental in building a stronger Africa for the benefit of the continent and the entire Pan-African world. Now, let's look at our third and final pull factor. Does Africa, which has become known as the world's next big growth market, offers significant wealth-building opportunities to the African diaspora and the African repatriates? Well, traditionally, Western media outlets have often portrayed Africa as a paradox between immense reserve of natural resources and chronic poverty. As a result, many Western leaders have long considered that mining and other extractive industries were the only viable business models worthy of a major capital investment on the African continent. However, for decades, Lebanese, Indians, and Chinese nationals understood that despite the poverty publicized by international macroeconomic metrics, African countries would need to import finished goods to meet their population's growing consumer demand. That was evident because the continent had very little mass production, industrial capacity, or raw material transformation value chains. And as a result, these nationals have seized these trading opportunities by pooling funds or accessing cheap capital in their home countries in order to become distributors of import goods in Africa. So over the years, they have taken advantage of economies of scales to meet the low-cost environment and price sensitivity of the African consumer market, while at the same time being able to accumulate immense wealth throughout the continent. Whether it's South, East, West, Central, or North Africa, it is very common to find major consumer good distributors of Lebanese, Indian, or Chinese descent. However, it is true that Western businesses are also increasingly working to enter the African consumer markets. But today, it seems that more Blaxiters and continental Africans in the diaspora are also waking up to the realization that Africa is a massive and exciting opportunity for business growth. They understand that the continent is a vast market for product and services with its young, urbanizing, and rapidly growing population of 1.3 billion people, projected to reach 2.5 billion people by the year 2050. This realization is supported by the fact that Africa has been one of the world's fastest growing regions of the last decade. And additionally, many long-term market projections predict favorable private investment returns in sectors such as agriculture, fintech, energy, consumer market, manufacturing, information and technology, also known as ICT, etc. Now, the realization that Africa is indeed the world's next big growth market is one of the pull factors for savvy Blaxiters and African repatriates who are eager to seize the opportunity to create significant financial wealth on the continent. So by being strategic, determined, and collaborative, they have all the necessary tools to thrive just like Lebanese, Indian, and Chinese nationals have been thriving in Africa. There you have it. As we have seen through the three pull factors that we have explained or explored in this video, Africa is a very attractive destination for Blaxiters and African repatriates. The continent offers opportunities for a life with less racial discrimination and a better sense of community. Furthermore, initiatives like the Year of Return creates a welcoming environment that helps eradicate preconceived apprehensions and make it easier for the returning diaspora to settle on the continent or join continental Africans in pursuing common objectives. And finally, Africa is the world's next biggest growth market that offers savvy Blaxiters and African repatriates the opportunity to create significant financial wealth on the continent. Next week, in the third and final part of our series on Blaxit, we will focus on conducting business successfully on the African continent. We will look at how Blaxiters, African repatriates, and continental Africans can join forces to capitalize on the most promising growth sectors and unlock Africa's massive business potential. As I'm concluding this episode, if you are new to the AfriKili platform, we seek a grandiose dream of unity across the African world to finally put Africa back on track towards unity and prosperity towards a united set of Africa. We are seeking a revolution and changes that cannot be done by one person or one movement alone. It can only be done by a collective effort, which is why AfriKili strongly advocates for working in coalitions, by pooling our resources, aggregating our efforts. Whether you reside on the African continent, or you relocated after your birth, or you're a part of the global Pan-African diaspora, you are essential for this to work. Let us join our effort in this cause within the AfriKili movement or within coalitions. Let us join the fight for a United States of Africa, which will be for the benefit of Africa, the entire African diaspora, and the entire humanity. Thank you for your attention. And before closing, let me remind you to like our video and subscribe to our AfriKili YouTube channel, but also very important, to sign up with your email address on our blog on our website www.afrikili.com. And finally, please like or follow our social media profiles on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. There is an exciting journey ahead of us towards a better Africa and a better world. Can the Pan-African diaspora and Africans on the continent really join efforts to turn Africa into a true global powerhouse? Yes, we can. It will happen. I have this dream. Let's get to work. AfriKili, African intelligence to build a new Africa. Until next time, peace be with you.